Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a very special event. Today we're dedicating the new Martha Ann Fields building here at Hanover Courthouse. I have to say, this is not the end or the beginning. This is a continuing thing that's been going on at the courthouse. We just moved all the courts out of these two buildings in 2017 into our new courthouse that actually started in 2014. We then came back and started remodeling both of these buildings. So this is the third, I won't say the third domino to fall, but the third domino to stand up, as we're continuing to improve things here at Hanover County. And on top of this one, there's another one coming with our new museum that's in the old clerk's buildings. With that, though, I'm going to keep this as short. I know that we want to get down to the most important part of the evening, and I want to start off simply with welcoming a lot of the people we hear. We have some very special guests. If you look at the back of your program, I'm going to recognize the least important guest first, which is our members of our Board of Supervisors. Ms. Faye Pritchard from the Ashland District. Ms. Angela Kelly Wiesek, Chickahominy District. Mr. Michael Hersberg from the Cold Harbor District. Susan Dibble from South Anna District. Sean Davis from the Henry District. Sorry about that, Mr. Davis. Unfortunately, Mr. Stanley is not able to join us at the moment. We also have members of the staff that are here that worked on this project. Chip England is here with us, and Chip, you have, I believe, with you Marvin Fletcher here, who's recently retired, but he couldn't resist coming back for this. So it's good to have you here, Marvin, and I believe you also have Don here, right? Good to see both of you. Construction of this building. We have with us from Daniel Company, Scott Turner. Thank you for being here, Scott. Chris Brown from Mosley. Chris, and anybody else with your company here, raise their hands as well. Thank you for your work on this. And Bill Sprinkle, I believe you've got some of your crew here as well with MVP. These folks were very much involved in getting this building constructed. Obviously, Daniel Company did a wonderful job. I should say this bill, I can sit here, I was given enough information by Mr. Harris that I could keep here all night talking about everything they did in this building. But I don't think too many of you care what kind of HVAC equipment they put in. What we do want to recognize, though, is this building now provides first-class working space for, as you see on the sign over here, General Services, Assessor's Office, Human Resources, Parks and Recreation, and in the basement we put some of the building inspection and public works folks there. But it's a nice basement now. It used to not be. This building was completely gutted. The exterior, as you can see, has been kept the integrity of what it was before, but is now a brand new building, one we can be proud of. There will be tours after this, I believe, of anybody who wants to have a tour of the building. That's my understanding. With that, I want to go on to there's the most important guests of all, are the ones I had not mentioned yet. And that's the fact that Martha Ann Fields has a number of her ancestors, or descendants, not ancestors, her descendants are here today joining us. And I think they're all here. There was one coming, but I'm going to start off with Terry Lee, Mark Hudson, Mary Hudson, Lynn Stewart. She was on the way, I believe. Is that correct? Okay. Oh, that's right. She's not the one. Leslie, her daughter, oh, good. Leslie made it. Ajena Rogers and Joseph Rogers with us today. These are all descendants of Martha Ann Fields. And it is a very special day in that we can sit here and dedicate this building to Miss Fields. And if you look around Hanover Courthouse, all of our buildings are named after people who had an impact on this community. They're not people from far away or anything. They were all people who had a presence right here in Hanover Courthouse. When we came down to this building, we started looking at it, we started thinking, when we go back in a historical county like this, who are some of the people that really made a tremendous impact on our community and our Commonwealth? And when we got down to looking at it, we said, you know, Martha Ann Fields was here. And this was a woman who was here in the 1850s and 60s, and at the time of the Civil War. She was a slave here at Nutshell, which was right behind the administration building here that's now. She would walk these very grounds. This woman was a slave, but she was only a slave in her body. If you read the story and learn more about what Martha Ann Fields did, she was completely free in her mind and in her heart. And she proved that to the world. When she escaped from slavery here with 11 children, I believe it was. Is that right, Ajena?
Most of her 11.
Most 11. And made the trek through dangerous situations from here to freedom down in the Hampton Roads area. It was a terrible, treacherous journey, but this woman had great courage, great fortitude, and she made it through, and she made it through with her children. But the story didn't end there. She escaped, she got freedom. But when she got to freedom, she made sure that her children knew the importance of what they had. She made sure that they were properly educated and that they were properly raised. So she was not just courageous and had great fortitude. She also took great responsibility in seeing that her children grew up in full appreciation of what they had accomplished and with the strength and courage to follow along the path that she had already showed them before. So this was such an honor when I heard that. And if you've never had a chance, Valerie Davis does a one-woman show that tells the story of Martha Ann Fields over at the tavern. If you ever have a chance to go there, you will fall in love with her as I did when I saw her. And I think we have to be very, very proud of what she did for Hanover County and what her children did for the Commonwealth and the country, and the fact that her legacy has carried on down to this very day. And again, I want to thank the family members that are with us for sharing that legacy with us here today. Now with that, I'm going to step down. Ajena Rogers, would you please come forward and speak for the family?
Thank you very much, Mr. Peterson, and Board of Supervisors and assembled guests, and my family, some of whom I am just meeting for the first time today because it's such an extensive family that carries on the legacy of the indomitable Martha Ann Fields. I'm very pleased to be here today to share the pride, the sense of honor that we have about this building being named for Martha Ann Fields. Because when Martha Ann was born 207 years ago, Hanover County itself was only about 97 years old. And she was born enslaved. And as Mr. Peterson said, but she wasn't a slave in her mind. She had an indomitable spirit, one that recognized that she was of more value than a cow, corn, a horse. That though she was looked upon as a commodity, something that would produce more workers, for those who had enslaved her. She knew that she was a person, that she had children that she loved with all the spirit of her heart and her mind, and that she would do anything to bring and keep her family together. She was married to Washington Fields of Caroline in Hanover County. She had been born near the North Hannah River. And as a young girl, she saw two of her oldest children, one sent down to be hired out in Richmond. That was John. And her son, Robert Tinsley, sold away to the families in another county. And it wrenched her heart to see this happen to her children. Yet she did not give up. She made an arrangement with her mistress too, that she would be able to hold and keep with her children and never be sold away, never be ill-treated. And she kept an eye on those who had been sold from her and sent away from her. But it is the misfortune of the life of a person who enslaved that you have little control over your own situations. And when her mistress, Catherine Winston, and Catherine's husband, Phil Winston, transferred the family here to these grounds in Nutshell Farm, she found that the promises that had been made to her were broken. But did that break her spirit? No, it did not. It just kept her looking higher and more forward. When her daughter Louisa was sold right from in front of the Hanover Courthouse, it wrenched her heart so much that she went into the woods every day, every Sunday, and would just pray to the Lord that sometime, somehow, her pain would be relieved. It almost broke her spirit. But one day, one Sunday, as her son, George Washington Fields, related, she came back singing and laughing, saying that the Lord had come to her and said that she and her family would one day again be together. Now, this was in the middle of the Civil War, 1863. Her son James had already, as a 17-year-old, escaped because he had been so severely beaten by Phil Winston. She would watch after him, help take care of him, but then eventually he had to escape all the way into Richmond. The other children that were left with her, Matilda, Maria, Betty, William, George, Catherine, and the man who would become her future son-in-law, Madison, were all here, and not knowing what was going to be their fate as the Civil War raged around them. Yet she held on to that faith. And it was when the Yankees, as they would be called here in Hanover, came and raided, it was her opportunity to finally make that escape. And it wasn't an easy one. They went all the way out to Little Pages Bridge, going after the Union soldiers, only to find the bridge burning. This was late at night, and she was standing there and had to figure out where she was going with 6 children, a babe in arms, her grandson, and her future son-in-law, Madison. She stopped. They were all eyes turned to them as your eyes are turned to me right now. And what did she do? She said, "Come on, children." And with those children, she made her way over to her brother, and he helped them ferry one at a time across the Pamunkey River to get to the other side. And there is still a space, a place where we can go today where that happened. You can see the bend of the river and stand there where she crossed. You see, that is what is so incredible to me today. That because this land still has the features that were here at the time that she was here. The entrance to Nutshell Farm, the pathway is still there. The courthouse that her son James would go to when he was taking care of the lawyer's horses. That same courthouse that inspired him to become a lawyer. These features are still here. It is so relevant now that this building on this ridge, near where the quarters of the enslaved would have been on Nutshell Farm, is on this very land. So by choosing this name for this place, we are acknowledging that this was a very complex history that we are living today. That someone like Martha Ann, who was looked upon as the least of these on this land, could have such a great impact. That her immediate descendants became leaders in the communities in Hampton. That she and her family helped to found churches in Hampton. That some of her descendants became, particularly James, became a leader in the House of Delegates. That someone who was looked upon as the lowest took opportunity to make sure there was an education for her children, and to pass that sense of education, that sense of need of a deep faith to her descendants, so that the 5th, 6th, and 7th generations are standing right here, right now. That is faith. That is an indomitable spirit. So those who work in this building, those who walk through these doors to take advantage of what Human Resources offers and Parks and Recreation offer, and the General Services offer, and the Assessor's Office offer, and the people in the basement. Don't look at yourself as the least of these either. Okay? Embody that indomitable spirit of Martha Ann Fields. And her story is not fully told just yet. There is still more work to be done. The work to see how the people who were enslaved and the people who enslaved them formed a community, and how they operated, and how that still affects how we operate today. It is by looking at our past that we'll be able to carry on together in our future. So though we have had to curtail some of our gathering activities, soon we'll get through all of this with COVID and the search for racial justice. We will be able to come together as a community. That is what I foresee. So that 6 and 7 generations from now, they'll remember this day, and they'll remember us. And they'll remember how those that we may have thought were the least among us embody an indomitable spirit.